When I was 8, my mom and I lived in a small 2-story home on the edge of town. It wasn't old or creepy or anything, just your average suburban house. One Saturday evening, I had the whole downstairs to myself while my mom was upstairs doing something, and I was allowed to have the TV all to myself. I was watching cartoons, volume up, blanket on, totally relaxed, when I thought I heard something. At first it was faint, like a voice cutting through the sound of the TV. I muted it, and for a moment I heard nothing. Then came a voice, a soft, distant call. "Jake, come here, sweetie." It sounded like my mom, but it was coming from the basement. I figured maybe she was down there doing laundry, but the lights were off. I stood at the top of the basement steps. The light switch was at the bottom. Our basement didn't have one at the top. I hated that. I stared into the darkness and called out, "Mom?" No answer, just silence. I was about to head back to the couch when I heard it again, louder this time. "Jakey, come down here, I need help." Same soft tone, calm, too calm. I took one step down, then another. But that weird feeling started crawling up my neck. The kind of feeling where your instincts are screaming at you, but your brain is still trying to play it off. I stopped halfway. The voice came again, still my mom's, but something was off. There was no urgency, no echo either. It was like it was being whispered right into the back of my head. And then I realized something that still haunts me. She never called me Jakey. I turned to go back upstairs. My heart was pounding now. But before I even reached the landing, I heard it again. Only this time it was angry. "Jake." It wasn't a question, just a command. I froze. Then I heard the floor creak behind me. I swear I felt someone standing at the bottom of the stairs, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. I ran, sprinted up the stairs, and slammed the door shut behind me. I screamed for my mom. She came rushing out of her bedroom, completely startled. When I told her what I'd heard, she looked at me like I was dreaming. She said she hadn't been anywhere near the basement. To calm me down, she opened the door and flipped on the hallway light toward the basement. See? Nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something down there had been pretending to be her. To this day, I won't step foot down basement stairs unless the lights are on. We moved out a year later, and I never told anyone else what happened. But I know what I heard. And whatever was in that basement, it knew my name. When I was a kid, my bedroom was in the finished part of our basement. Not ideal, I know. But my mom and I rented the first floor and basement of a small house. Another tenant lived upstairs. It was either the basement or I'd have to share a room with her. I didn't mind it much. It had carpet, decent lighting, and I had my own little TV. Honestly, it felt kind of cool, until this one night. I was maybe 9 or 10. My mom had already gone to bed upstairs, and I was still awake watching some late-night cartoon reruns. There was a door in the basement that led to the unfinished utility room. Concrete floor, water heater, shelves with dusty paint cans. We always kept it shut. Around midnight, I heard a knock come from behind it. Just one knock. Not super loud, but sharp. I muted the TV and stared at the door. Nothing. I figured maybe something fell over inside or the furnace kicked. I went back to watching. Then came a second knock. Slower, more deliberate. I froze. The lights were on, but the room suddenly felt darker somehow. I just kept staring at the door. The handle didn't move, no creaking, no sounds. But I couldn't look away. Then I heard a voice from the other side. "Can you open the door?" It was a woman's voice, calm, not loud, not angry, just asking. At first I thought it might be my mom, but why would she be in there? I called out, "Mom?" Nothing. I went upstairs to check. Her bedroom door was shut. I knocked gently. She answered right away, half asleep. "What is it?" I told her I thought I heard her downstairs, in the utility room. She gave me a weird look and said, "I've been in bed. I didn't go back downstairs that night." The next morning, I brought it up again. She laughed a little and said I must have been dreaming. Later that day, she opened the utility room for the first time in weeks to grab something, and found deep scratches on the inside of the door. Long ones. Low to the ground, like someone or something had been clawing at it. She shut the door and locked it. We never spoke about it again. And a few days later, I moved my bed upstairs. When I was a teenager, my family rented the bottom unit of a duplex. It was an old house that had been split into 2 apartments, one upstairs, one downstairs. We lived in the bottom. The basement was technically shared, but we were the only ones who ever used it. It was unfinished, exposed pipes, cinder block walls, a single hanging light bulb. We kept the washer and dryer down there, plus a bunch of storage bins. There was a metal air vent on the far wall. It connected through the ceiling to the upstairs unit. We figured it was part of the old heating system. Didn't work anymore, but sound carried through it sometimes. You'd hear muffled footsteps or voices if the people upstairs were talking loud enough. One night, I was down there doing laundry around 10 p.m. Everyone else was asleep. I was killing time, flipping through a magazine while I waited for the dryer to finish. Then I heard a voice come through the vent. Clearer than usual, closer. Like someone right on the other side, whispering through it. At first I couldn't make out what they were saying. Then I heard it again. "Can you hear me?" I froze. The tone wasn't playful. It wasn't a joke. It was flat, direct. I didn't respond. A few seconds passed. Then, "Don't tell anyone." I backed up slowly and left the laundry. The next day I asked my mom if she'd heard anything weird from the upstairs neighbors. She looked confused and said no one had lived upstairs for over a week. The previous tenant moved out suddenly, and the unit was still empty. I didn't say anything else. But I started doing laundry during the day after that, and I never got too close to that vent again. My girlfriend and I used to rent a 1-bedroom apartment in a small complex outside the city. It wasn't anything fancy, just a basic place with beige walls, thin doors, and a weird smell in the hallway that never fully went away. We'd been there for about 8 months when things started to feel off. It started with small things. We'd come home and notice the blinds were open, even though we always kept them closed. The bathroom light would be on when neither of us remembered using it. One night, we found the fridge door slightly open, like someone had just grabbed something. At first, we thought we were just being forgetful. We both worked long hours, always tired. It was easy to chalk it up to stress. But then, one Saturday morning, my girlfriend found something that changed everything. She was cleaning out the bedroom closet and spotted a small plastic lens tucked behind a pile of old shoes. At first she thought it was trash. Then she realized it was a tiny camera. It was wedged deep into the back wall, aimed directly at the bed. We tore the closet apart. Behind the drywall was a tiny hole that ran through to the vacant unit next door. We immediately called the police and the apartment manager. Turns out the vacant unit had been used by one of the on-site maintenance guys, not as a home, just a place he kept locked for tools and supply overflow. Only, there was a mattress on the floor, water bottles, food wrappers, and a folding chair, positioned directly in front of the hole in the wall. He'd been sitting in there, watching us. For how long, we'll never know. The worst part? That guy had been inside our unit dozens of times, fixing a leaky faucet, replacing the smoke detector, just doing his job. After the cops got involved, the apartment manager quietly fired him, never made an announcement, never warned the other tenants. He just disappeared. We moved out a week later, and for months after, I couldn't sleep without checking every vent, every closet, every shadowed corner, just in case someone else was still watching.